These are my pickems for the round 3 of Swiss stage. And so when we look at it in the 0-1 matches, I went 1-1 again. Even though I did say GE are probably favorites, so yeah, maybe should have gone should have gone with that instead of hoping the full sense play better. But in all fairness, they did play significantly better than they did versus Foot, and I do think they had a realistic shot. But now let's take a look at the 1-on-1 matches, and first up, Foot versus NRG. And for NRG span, I think it was fairly straightforward. I think they should get rid of Ascend, um, probably Ascend or Split. I would assume they would probably ban, since these are their two worst maps. And yeah, I think Ascend is a better map for Foot, so I think NRG are probably gonna ban that. And for Foot, I think there are a couple of options that they had. I've thought about them banning Breeze, since it's a really good map for NRG. But I've gone with them banning Pearl, since it's their own worst map. It's a map that NRG has a ton of experience on, so yeah, I think it makes a lot of sense for Foot to get rid of Pearl. And then I think NRG are gonna pick Breeze, and I think whichever of the two remains, NRG are probably gonna win. I could see them also picking Lotus. I think that would also make sense, but yeah, I think probably Breeze. I kind of thought about them also picking Haven, since they're also really good on the map, but I think it's Foot's best map. So yeah, as you can see, I have gone with it being the deciding map, which kind of makes sense, but I'm gonna talk about that a bit later. And then for Foot's map pick, I've gone with picking Fracture. I think Fracture is more the realistic choice that I've made. I think Split will make more sense, since it's a really bad map for NRG, right? It's probably NRG's worst map, and the reason why I didn't go for it is because it's not a great map for Foot themselves, right? They are 3 and 4 on that map, so because of that, I don't think they're gonna feel too confident to pick it. And Foot did look really good on Fracture at Masters London thus far, or has at least looked, yeah, pretty good on our map. And yeah, even though NRG are 3 and 0 on that map, we haven't seen NRG pick it yet or play it yet at Masters London, so that's why I've gone with Foot picking Fracture and winning on that map. But I wouldn't be surprised if NRG were to win it. And then for the second rotation of bans, NRG are then gonna ban Split. I think Foot are then gonna ban Lotus, which would leave the deciding map, as I already said, as Haven, since it's a great map for both of these teams. They'll both be really confident on that map. So that should be a banger if we get a map 3. And yeah, also as I've said, I don't quite see any of the two teams picking that map, even though they are both so good on that map. Um, I think that's exactly the reason, because their opponents will feel great about that map as well. But I wouldn't be surprised if any of the teams were to pick it, even though I think it would be a mistake. Yeah, I've gone overall with a 2-1 for NRG, and I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a 2-0 for NRG. So I have them as clear favorites coming into this. So let's lock that in, and then we're gonna look at GE versus XLG. And so first up for XLG, I think it was fairly straightforward. I've gone with them banning Pearl. It looks like GE's best map by far, and it's XLG's worst map. So yeah, I think that's a good ban. Even though they haven't played Ascent yet, GE only played it once and lost, so I think that's a good map to just float and see what happens. I don't think the XLG benefit from banning this as much as they do from banning Pearl. And then for GE's ban, I've gone with them banning Lotus. Realistically, they could have also been banning Fracture, or maybe even Split. But Split, they have a lot of practice on themselves, so that's why I've gone with them. Yeah, banning Lotus. It's not a great map for them, and it's clearly XIG's best map, so yeah, it makes sense to get rid of that. Then first up for XLG's map pick, I've gone with them picking Fracture. I think it makes a lot of sense for them to pick Fracture. It hasn't looked great at all when GE played it. Looked like their worst map. So because of that, XIG will probably feel really confident on Fracture. They have also looked quite good at Fracture. And the only other option really I had was them picking Split, which I think would also be decent, but I think GE are better on Split than they are on Fracture. So because of that, I think Fracture would be the smarter option. Then for GE, I think Breeze is the most likely. They've always looked like pretty good on Breeze. Sometimes even really good, especially versus Paper X. And so that should be a map where they look great on. It's not that great of a map for XLG. So yeah, I see GE as favorites on that map. And then for the second rotation of the bans, I think GE are gonna get rid of Split no matter what. And then for XLG, the choice is kind of between Haven and Ascent. And I wasn't too sure on how XLG are gonna go about it. And yeah, I think that just based off of XLG being willing to float Ascent thus far, I think they have at least some amount of prep on their map. And because of that, I would like to see them go for Ascent being the remaining map, since I think they don't have a shot on Haven, or don't have that well of a shot on Haven. They haven't looked great on Haven thus far, and even though the elo rating doesn't indicate it as much, I think GE are clearly favorites on a map. And so because of that, I think the gamble to go for Ascent would be good. And with all that being said, I still think GE are going to be favorites on Ascent. Obviously, we haven't seen a lot from either of these teams on our map, so yeah, either of these teams could really surprise me. But yeah, I've gone with a 2-1 for GE. And so let's lock that one in. And yeah, these are my round 3, the 1-on-1 matches, my predictions. And if they were correct, I would have at least gotten 3 of the 4 teams that make it out of Swiss correct, which is at least decent. And then we're gonna see each other tomorrow for the Pickems for the playoff stage. I'm really excited for the playoffs to then finally start. And yeah, let me know what you think about my Pickems for the round 3 of Swiss stage. And then we're gonna see each other tomorrow.